I think the game slowed down for me is kind of the biggest thing. I think I'm definitely more aggressive probably in that middle area when you come off a ball screen. Mid-range jump shots, floaters. I think I could probably get to my floater a little bit more. I haven't seen a ton of drop coverage, so it's been kind of hard to get to that. But other than that, I think there's still a lot of areas to improve. I think over the course of the last few games, the teams we've played, a lot of them have begun to like really take away the roller and take away AB. So I think seeing our skips on the weak side is where we can kind of grow collectively. And then I think just all of us kind of understanding sequence of game a little bit better. And obviously that starts with me as our point guard. And, when we have a few bad possessions, we got to slow down and really work for a good one. So I think continuing to grow in that area is going to be important for us.
What about the change of coaching? How is that impacting your game?
I think Steph's been tremendous. She's somebody that knows what the Fever organization is all about. She understands winning and how to win. She's won there before. I think she's a great players coach. She's going to hold us to a standard that she expects every single day, but at the same time, she's going to continue to build us up and be there for us. So I think Steph's been really good, and not only Steph, I think our entire staff.
Caitlin, you have heard this phrase since last season, Caitlin for you. I'd like to know what the Lexi Hull effect has been for you with her friendship and as a teammate.
I think Lex has been tremendous, and obviously she's a player that probably doesn't get a ton of credit, and she's not one to care at all, but I think the way she impacts the game for us, and maybe earlier in her career was especially on defense, and she was going to be an energy player. She was going to dive on the floor for loose balls. She's going to be aggressive. But I think over the course of these last couple of years, she's really begun to shoot the ball well. I think her offensive skill set has just continued to grow, which has just been really fun to watch. And then just speaking as a friend and as a teammate, one of the most selfless people I've ever been around. She's going to do whatever she can to help this team win, and those are the type of people you really want in your locker room. So really thankful for her, and I think she's had a tremendous year this far. So we rely on her for a lot, and she doesn't always get a lot of credit, but she definitely deserves it. Yeah. Yeah, Tara and Coach Blitter are also friends, so there's like that to bond over too. I think, the way Tara and Coach Blitter go about things is very similar. They're going to hold you to the highest standard every single day. They expect you to go out there and compete and leave it all on the floor, and you're going to be part of a culture that is way bigger than yourself. And I think you can certainly see that, especially, when I first got to Indianapolis. That's always been evident with Lex. It's not about her. It's about what she can do for this team.
Are you excited about Pacers Game 7?
Yeah, I think we're going to be in the air. So we fly Delta, and sometimes they have the screens on the back of the plane, but sometimes they don't. So I'm hoping for the ones with the screens on back the chairs, so I don't have to pay for the Wi-Fi. I'm a little cheap, but super excited. I feel good about it, and I thought they were tremendous in Game 6, and now it's a winners-take-all kind of game. So, no matter which way it goes tonight, the type of season they've had has been absolutely incredible, and you have to appreciate that. And just super fortunate that I get to be in Indianapolis during this time, and we're going to be cheering for them really hard. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, obviously we weren't very successful versus them last year. I thought the two games we played versus them at home were a little bit better later in the season. We played them a couple times here early. I think, obviously both rosters have changed a decent amount, but, everything runs through Asia as it should. She's a tremendous player, and, that's got to be our main focus. But also, you got Jackie, you got Jewel, you have Chelsea, and just finding a way to be able to cover all of them and, limit their touches, limit them the best we can, make them take harder contested shots. But at the end of the day, they're really good players. They're going to make some tough ones. But I think for us is not so much looking back on last season. I don't think that's going to help us in, any sort of way. I think it's like reflecting on, what have they done, what do we need to, protect against. But also for ourselves, coming off of a loss is like, we have things that we need to just do a lot better ourselves that are just principles of how we play the game. We got to be more physical. We got to play with a little bit more energy. We got to play faster. We got to take better care of the ball. So I think all of those things, if we focus on that ourselves and then, also focus on the scout, I think we'll be just fine.
You play a different game in Asia, but
Yeah.
Are there things you can borrow from her that help you?
I would say we're quite different players, so that's tough. I mean, I think she just plays with an energy and a tenacity about her that really affects her team, and that's probably, as a competitor, what I appreciate the most is, when she's on the floor, it's completely different. She affects the games in so many ways, offensively and defensively, and I think that's just what's incredible about the way she plays is the energy. She plays fast. She can dribble, she can shoot, she can attack the glass. Like, there's just so many different ways that she continues to affect the game. So I think it's that and just the competitive spirit she brings for her team.
The last time Pacers were in the finals in 2000, I was in the stands. I was a player for the Fever. And, now they get an opportunity to, again, play for a championship in a historic Game 7. It's huge. I'm so incredibly proud of the organization, management for building the franchise the right way. Thankful to the Simon family for their continued support, belief in both franchises. It's just it's a big day. Indiana, as everyone knows, loves basketball. We're born and bred to shoot it through that round hoop, right? And so for everybody that gets to watch, we get to be the appetizer and then the big show later tonight.
Steph, during availability, a couple of your players, very cordial, but they want to sort of preface before the interview. They have a statement to be about CBA negotiations. I don't know if you're familiar. That was discussed in a team meeting. And if you are, just your thoughts on the stance and the platform that they're using to sort of get their voice out there before negotiations.
Yeah, no, I mean, that wasn't anything that we discussed in a team meeting. I'm sure the players and the players union discussed it at all. I've been a part of this league for 25 years and was a part of the first CBA negotiation where really all we wanted, and Rebecca probably remembers this, was insurance all year round, right? To then having the ability to have your own hotel room, right? And then, now we're in charter flights and, it's just the growth of the league. And I think when you look back at other professional leagues, it's about this time frame in the trajectory where things begin to change, and things are changing rapidly for our league. And having been a part of a lot of those negotiations as a player and been on the other side as a coach, the players deserve opportunities to grow with this league, and I'm proud of them for continuing to voice their opinions, and I'm also proud of our organizations and our leadership at the league for understanding how we grow it, right? And there's a process to growing it. So just much like being a player and being a coach, being a young person and being an older person, you learn to value the different pieces that go into the puzzle, and making sure that we're setting up the league for long-term success is the most important thing.
What specific adjustments are you looking for from Caitlin and the guards today? And what's the game plan defensively to make sure that Asia Wilson doesn't take over?
Well, I think it's hard to make sure Asia doesn't take over, right? You just got to make things as difficult as possible. You got to try to make her shots as difficult as possible, not give her easy ones. Try to keep her off the foul line, try to keep her off the glass. So we just got to try to make life difficult for her. But she's a great player, so she's going to find a way to get hers. So we also have to make sure that we minimize the easy shots from everybody else. And we've got to be disruptive on the defensive end of the floor. We've got to be able to take them out of what they want to do and stay disciplined on the defensive end. What was the other question?
I wanted to know what specific adjustments are you looking for from Caitlin, in particular, and the guards in the game?
Adjustments from what?
The last game.
Yeah. Okay. Taking care of the ball. I think first and foremost, taking care of the ball. We've got to do a better job of making sure that we get quality shot opportunities. And then we be able to knock down open shots. I think the runs the Golden State were able to make were a direct reflection of live ball turnovers and poor shot selection. And we've also got to be able to recognize moments where we've gone 3 or 4 possessions without getting a score, and we've got to be a little bit more disciplined and slow down and run offense.
Steph, if I can ask you about this, not specifics of this past week, but we've all noticed how physical this game has become this season, and we've been very, outspoken about it. I went back and looked at your Connecticut team last year. It was known as one of the most physical ones.
Yeah.
the top 8 games in terms of fouls, personal fouls called on your Connecticut team, 2 of those 8 were against this Fever team.
Yeah.
And you brought a physical nature with Alyssa and DeWanna and so on and so forth. What's changed in terms of either where you're thinking or how you're seeing it, because you coach a physical style and now this team's being defended very physically?
Nothing's changed. You as a coach and as a player, you're going to play as physical as you're allowed to play. That's the reality of competition, right? Like you're positioning yourself to win. As a coach of whichever team, I am always going to fight for my players, right? Like I am always going to have my players back. And so nothing has changed from that standpoint. It has continued to be a challenge from an official standpoint. And again, I think you can go all the way back to the Bill Lambier days, right? It's like teams are going to be as physical as they're allowed to be. And we want to be more physical on the defensive end of the floor, but physical without fouling, right? Disciplined and from that standpoint as well. So I would say nothing's changed. It's just continuing to point out what's happening.